A ghost story on a train. The rhythmic clatter of the train was Eleanor Vance's only companion as she boarded the Midnight Express. Carriage 7 was a relic, its mahogany panels scarred, its brass fixtures tarnished, groaning with every lurch. Her compartment was a tight, dusty box, a single dim bulb struggling against the encroaching gloom. Eleanor tossed her bag onto the narrow bunk, the journey from London already feeling endless. A grizzled conductor, his uniform faded, passed by, his eyes lingering on her a moment too long. Unable to settle, Eleanor decided a walk to the dining car might stave off the growing unease. The dining car was sparsely populated, an old woman knitting by a window, a stern businessman engrossed in his papers. At the far end, a young man with restless eyes, Liam, nursed a drink, clearly bored. Liam caught her eye, a faint smile playing on his lips, and gestured to the empty seat opposite him. "First time on the ghastly ghost?" he asked, a twinkle in his eye, referring to the train's local nickname. Eleanor scoffed lightly. "Hardly. I prefer the term historic landmark." Liam leaned forward, his voice dropping. "This train has a history, all right. They say a jilted bride vanished on board decades ago. Her spirit," he continued, "still searches for her groom, leaving a profound chill in her wake." As if on cue, a sudden icy draft swept through the car, making the window panes rattle. Eleanor shivered, attributing it to the train's obvious age and lack of proper insulation. Later, back in her compartment, a faint, almost imperceptible scent of lilies wafted past her. She sniffed the air, then checked her small travel bag. No flowers. The train plunged into a stretch of dense, ancient forest, the darkness outside absolute. A fleeting shadow, impossibly tall, flickered at the very edge of her peripheral vision in the corridor. Eleanor froze, then slowly opened her door, peering both ways. Nothing but empty space. The train lurched violently, almost throwing her off her feet, spilling her half-empty mug of tea. From somewhere further down the carriage, a distant, melancholic hum began, like a forgotten lullaby. She pushed her compartment door fully open. The humming instantly ceased. The old woman from the dining car walked past, her face pale, her eyes wide with apprehension. "Did you hear that, dear?" the woman whispered, clutching her floral shawl tightly to her chest. Eleanor asked what she heard. "The song," the old woman replied, a visible shiver running down her spine. Liam suddenly appeared, looking disheveled, his hair askew. "Another one?" he asked the old woman gravely. He explained to Eleanor that the song was another unmistakable sign of the bride's spectral presence. A prickle of genuine unease now burrowed into Eleanor. Too many coincidences. She decided to try and sleep, drawing the heavy velvet blinds shut, hoping to block out the unsettling reality. In the oppressive darkness, a sensation like a cold, phantom hand brushed softly against her cheek. Eleanor bolted upright in the bunk, her heart hammering against her ribs, every nerve alight. Her compartment door, which she distinctly remembered closing, was now slightly ajar. From the luggage rack above, she distinctly heard a soft rustling sound, like silk brushing against leather. Her small silver locket, a cherished family heirloom, was gone from around her neck. Panic, cold and sharp, seized her. This was no ghost story. Someone or something was on the train. She scrambled out into the corridor, her voice hoarse as she called out Liam's name. The corridor lights flickered erratically, plunging sections into brief, disorienting darkness. Further down, she spotted the conductor, looking frantic, fumbling with a control panel. "We're losing power," he shouted over the increasingly loud groans and creaks of the old train. Eleanor bumped into Liam, who had also emerged, his face unusually pale in the dim, pulsing light. "It's getting worse," he breathed, his eyes darting. "This only happens when she's truly near." The scent of lilies was now overwhelming, sickly sweet and cloying, filling the entire carriage. Through the window of the dining car, a spectral figure, shimmering faintly, glided past. It stopped, turned its head with impossible grace, and seemed to look directly at Eleanor. Eleanor screamed, a raw, involuntary sound, as the etheric figure vanished into the darkness beyond the glass. She turned and fled instinctively toward the last carriage, feeling a profound, bone-deep chill. The conductor was still desperately trying to restart something in a small utility room near the rear. Liam followed close behind, grabbing her arm. "Keep moving. It wants something specific." They burst into the observation car, a cavernous space now dark and eerily empty. A faint silvery glow emanated from a small, ornate table in a far corner. It was her locket. Beside it, carefully placed, was a faded, sepia-toned photograph of a young woman in a vintage wedding dress. The woman in the photograph was wearing an identical silver locket around her neck. Eleanor reached out, her fingers brushing the cold metal of her locket. A sudden rush of cold memory, vivid and tragic, flooded her mind, but it wasn't her own. The train jolted to a final jar and stop. A chill and whisper, thin as ice, filled the car. "Mine." The train doors hissed open to an unknown, foggy station, shrouded into impenetrable mist. The locket felt impossibly cold and heavy in Eleanor's hand.